One thing that was talked about over and over again, and that topic was support. For example, we had one franchisor talk about the AI caller being able to handle 250 calls simultaneously, all at the same time, which is absolutely amazing. Utilizing drone technology to take pictures and video of a neighborhood, all the roofs in the neighborhood, infrared, looking for heat loss, taking advantage of those videos, and then scanning again after a storm to see if a roof had damage due to a storm.
Welcome to the Franchise Freedom Podcast, where you can escape the corporate trap through franchise ownership. Here's your host, Giuseppe Grammatico, the Franchise Guide.
Welcome to the Franchise Freedom Podcast. I'm your host, Giuseppe Grammatico, your franchise guide. Thanks for joining us today. We're approaching 6 years now of launching the show, January of 2020. Just wanted to thank each and every one of you for all your support, your questions, and your feedback. For anyone new, we help corporate executives experience time and financial freedom via franchising. We cover all different type of topics, startup versus franchise. What are the funding options in funding your first business, your first franchise? Things to be asking in due diligence, how to find your perfect franchise, and so much more. We always encourage everyone, if you're interested in becoming a guest, send us a message directly on the website, ggthefranchiseguide.com. You can hit that contact form. We're actually redoing the site and just send us a message. We have quite a few new listeners. Thank you for your support. I always mention this at the end of the show, but since we're doing kind of an intro here, if you have any questions or any topics you'd like for me to cover, even though they were maybe covered in the past, feel free to drop us a message and we'd be more than glad to cover that topic, or at least maybe on a future blog or social media post. All right, what are we talking about today? So I was out last week. It was actually in New Orleans. We were at the Franchise National Conference. You probably heard these shows before if you've been a listener for a while. Every 6 months, twice a year, we meet together as an organization, over 400 people, over 125 different franchise companies. We have franchise consultants like myself. We have funding companies and partners on the franchise company side. We have presidents and founders and everyone else in between, really taking a week to get caught up, updates, just to meet everyone in person, which is really nice. Hear about franchising trends, AI, what's working, what's not working, updates to each and every one of the brands. So it's really exciting and so much to cover. And every year, or I should say every 6 months, I'll do a show with an update, my 5 takeaways from the conference. Today, we're going to talk about the one main or major theme as opposed to the 5 takeaways. There'll probably be some subtopics here, but there was one major theme. One thing that was talked about over and over again in that topic was support. What do I mean by support? Just updates, changes, what franchisors are doing in order to increase the odds and do everything they can to make each and every one of their franchisees as successful as possible. We talk with brands that maybe we had worked with in the past that had paused development, meaning kind of stopped accepting new franchise owners and candidates so that they can restructure their system. It could be due to breaks in the system. It could be due to rapid growth in the system, with the goal of just pausing things in order to get every franchisee up and running as soon as possible. We've seen brands that are okay. They're continuing their growth. And really, one of the things that we talk about quite a bit is, the franchise fee and the royalty. What do you get for those funds, for that money? I would say the franchise fee, for the most part, really gets all reinvested into training and support and the launch of the business. It's really the royalty where the franchisor makes a majority of their income. But we're hearing things such as the investment of millions and millions of dollars back into technology, the investment or reinvestment of money from those royalty payments that are going into things such as AI. For example, we had one franchisor talk about the AI caller being able to handle 250 calls simultaneously, all at the same time, which is absolutely amazing. Being able to really scale up a call center with 2 full-time employees overseeing, calls for emergencies, or if the AI couldn't handle the call, we'd go to a live caller, but they were able to scale the call center to what was equivalent to hundreds of people with only 2 employees and have the AI handle the rest. And this is more for scheduling and answering questions and things like that. That was a very common theme. The idea of a franchise is a significant investment. A lot of franchisees are funding this with, savings, utilizing an SBA loan with we'll call it a 20, 30% down down payment. Maybe it's a Rob's rollover business startup where you're utilizing retirement assets, or even a home equity line of credit. There's so many different ways, which we covered in our funding podcast, but the franchisor is really accelerating things in order to get that franchise owner up and running so that they can start earning back on their investment. We talk about the idea of cash return. So whatever money you're putting down, maybe it's that 20% in the SBA loan, getting up and running, generating revenue so that you can earn back the money you invested in that business. Going back to support, the major theme of the conference. I'm not saying that's all we covered, but that was a very common theme, especially when we sat down and spoke with the franchise companies one-on-one. They really cared for their franchisees. They really wanted to get those franchisees up and running, especially if they're leaving their jobs, right, full-time in order to launch this business. So decreasing time to get up and running was big. Cutting costs. We heard from multiple brands specifically that were offering their franchise was in the venue, we call it a brick and mortar setting. So whether it be a standalone building, many of them we talk with were in a build out of 1,000 to 2,000 square feet in a shopping center, shopping mall, cutting costs for things like cutting the footprint of the actual space, offering multiple options of, depending on the footprint and how large of an investment you want to make. In other cases, just permanently reducing the footprint for that specific brand in order to keep costs low, staff and what we call headcount as low as possible, and things like that. So really digging into the numbers, utilizing the feedback, the numbers that each and every one of the franchisees are sending in that they are disclosing in the item 19 in the financial representation, assuming they have a year under their belts at year-end close, utilizing that information, comparing it, digging into the financials to see where they can improve. How do they lower cost of goods? How do they lower overall expense, various other items in order to keep that franchise owner as profitable as possible, especially that first year, which we did a show talking about the builder year, getting that business up and running. Hey guys, thanks for listening. I hope you're enjoying the show. As a thank you for being a valued listener, wanted to offer you a free copy of my book, Franchise Freedom. This book was written back in 2020, and it's my exact blueprint in helping you find that perfect franchise. I wrote it based off my experiences and wanted to pass that along to you. Want to chat today? You could book a call directly on our website, top right side of that screen, and you can schedule a 20-minute call. We'll dive into if a franchise is a good fit, help you get qualified, and figure out what that perfect franchise match may be. So I hope you take me up on my offer. Once again, Franchise Freedom. Download the book today for free or book a call with me directly, and we'll help you bypass all that information you find online. Most importantly, figuring out if a franchise is the right fit and then figuring out what that perfect franchise looks like. So thanks again for listening to the show, and back to the show. Technology, as we talked about, was big. AI was definitely a major theme. Really cool stuff. I love technology and hearing about all the latest and greatest. Utilizing drone technology to take pictures and video of a neighborhood, all the roofs in the neighborhood, infrared, looking for heat loss, taking advantage of those videos, and then scanning again after a storm to see if a roof had damage due to a storm. So that would be an insurance claim. Even utilizing drone for power washing the roof of a stadium or a water tower or something where it is going to be multiple stories high. That way that the person doesn't have to go up there. You just need that drone operator to go out on the roof for the power washing to get up there and not have to get on a ladder and risk potentially falling off that ladder. I don't know about you, but I'm definitely afraid of heights. So the technology was big. Revenue streams was also another. We talked with a concept around waxing, hair removal, and adding various skincare lines to help the franchisee. And some required minimal inventory, something what I call an e-commerce play where the franchisee was able to upsell all of their clients coming in, and they can go directly to the site. It'd be tagged for that specific location, and they would earn the revenue or the profits on whatever skincare was purchased and automatically purchased, right? I joke around, Amazon Subscribe and Save, you're getting that shipment every quarter, every month or two, just automating things and getting a discount for setting up that automation. CRMs were big too, utilizing CRMs, tracking every metric in order to improve the system, utilizing the AI and follow-ups. For example, if you're getting a certain service like cleaning, basically the reminders for that next service. So support is big. This is not going to be as lengthy as some of the other shows because that was really the theme. Franchisors, although not all franchise companies are created equal or the same, many of them have stood out. And the ones that stand out have that clear vision of where that business wants to be, really takes the time to ask their franchisees for their feedback, where they can improve. Sometimes the franchisees are just like, hey, things are going well. And the franchisor proactively just looking at their financials to say, hey, you know what? We have a flooring brand. We're using, a lot of times 80% of our tiles or our flooring is coming from these few SKUs. Why don't we go back and get rebates, which was also brought up at a conference where we can get rebates on certain products, on window films and things like that. So that franchisee is essentially, in many cases, the rebate gets passed through directly to the franchisee, increasing their margins for that job. Those are other avenues. We had a salon suite type of business get to scale and now offer and work with the banks so that there were multiple lenders. These types of models are not SBA approved. So they're going out there originally with one, and now they have 5 or 6 lenders and different ways of funding these types of businesses with a competitive interest rate. So that was the theme. There's a lot of great other insights and specifics. And if you have a specific question or, you want to dive deep, best way is just to go to the website, ggthefranchiseguide.com, and you could book a call directly there. I'll ask you a few questions to set up a 20-minute right fit intro call. For anyone listening in, newer listeners, there's no cost for our service. We're able to assist at no cost to you. We are paid just like a real estate agent. We're paid directly from the franchise brand. No cost aside from time. We'll definitely have you figure out quickly and get through all the noise and figure out if a franchise is a good fit, and then what does that ideal perfect match look like for you. That's the area we really specialize. What's that perfect match? What's the availability in your market? And we take it from there. That's what I love doing, and that's my main focus, is really helping individuals, corporate executives, a lot of people coming out of the military, trying to figure out what the next steps are in their career. That's where we're able to assist. Let's map out what this specific franchise looks like for you, not necessarily focusing just on the widget or the service or the product, but specifically, what does your role look like? What's the average day in life? Where you're located? Is it working from home? Is it at an office or a physical location? We figure all that together. With every one of the companies that we talk with, there's this franchise avatar you hear me talk about all the time. Who is their ideal fit as a franchise owner? And that's where we really help. We know who those fits are in order to make the introductions to the brands. If you want to go in a little bit more detail, certain industries, brands, more than glad to go through that with you. If you want to be a guest, you can send that information to the website. And if you just have any suggestions, I try to check my social media daily. You can leave a comment. We're on all the platforms except for Threads. The fastest way is go to the contact form or book a call. That'll hit my inbox. I check that multiple times a day. We're really excited to share any other feedback or updates that we had learned at the conference. But again, we go to these twice a year, but I'm on the phone with at least 1 or 2 franchisors every week. So if there's any specific questions you want me asking just in general, not waiting to our next conference in July, let me know. More than glad to ask on your behalf. Use me as a resource. We're going down the list of topics. We may be talking about a future episode on a brand new franchise versus a resale that's come up. I noticed that more in social media, in the comments. That may be a topic we handle in the future. So thanks again, everyone. We will talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in. If you want to learn how to make the transition from corporate to owning your franchise, join Giuseppe on the next episode. You can also follow on all social media platforms and achieve financial and time freedom today.